Happy New Year and Happy New Decade. And if, like me, you're already sick of hearing all of the New Year, New Me bullshit, then I think you're going to like it here. After a lifetime of IBS, I'm all too familiar with the fact that your gut and your flare-ups couldn't care less what decade it is or how many New Year's resolutions you've written down in your shiny new bullet journal. So we're back again for another year of real talk, really tasty recipes and realistic improvements that you can expect to see on a low FODMAP diet for IBS. And for those of you that are new here and we've never met, I'm Michelle the Irritable Vegan. I'm here to help you through your vegan low FODMAP journey and hopefully take some of the BS out of IBS. So today's video is all about asking you exactly what you need to see you through the coming months. Any suggestions and ideas that you have for what you'd like to see on the channel over the next year, and some plans and ideas for changes that I'm considering making, and all of it I'm going to need your thoughts and feedback on. So as always, I'd love to hear from you in the comments below, but if you prefer just to click a checkbox, if you head on over to my Instagram stories, I've popped some poll questions in there, so it's going to be much easier for you to just tag a little button and let me know exactly what you're thinking. So for a while now I've been playing around with the idea of creating a recipe blog for the Irritable Vegan, and more frequently I'm getting messages and comments asking if there's anywhere that my recipe videos are written down where it's easier for people to share, save, pin and generally just follow along with the recipes. And the reason I've really been holding off from doing this is because I'm really not sure if it's going to be worth the investment in both money and time, considering how slowly the channel has grown over the last year. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm so grateful to each and every one of you for being here, particularly those people that take the time to give me a thumbs up, leave a lovely comment down below and share the content. But I'm no stranger to the idea of how much time and work it takes to keep up a full-time blog, and that's alongside the time and effort that's already needed to make weekly videos for the channel. And all of that means nothing if it doesn't feel like I'm able to reach enough people, it doesn't feel like the message has been spread, and it doesn't feel like I'm ultimately making a difference. So this is where I ask you if you could spend a little bit of your time to let me know either down in the comments below or over on Instagram whether a recipe blog is a resource that you would interact with and make use of, or if you're just happy to continue following along with the videos on this channel as we have done for the last few years. And for those of you that would be interested in seeing the recipes written down, then please, this is your opportunity to let me know in the comments exactly which recipes you'd like to see written up. Because if this does go ahead, the likelihood of me being able to put every single recipe from every single recipe video on the channel onto a blog is very unlikely, just due to the huge backlog of work that would be required to do that. So for the lovely people on here that have supported me for a while now and are familiar with some of my existing recipes, if you want your favourite recipe to be included in the blog should it go ahead, then please let me know what that is down below so I can make sure to put it in there. So before you leave your feedback, it's probably worth touching on a few of the pros and cons. So with the possibility of introducing a recipe blog comes the reality that things on this channel would probably likely need to change. So that could include reducing the uploads to bi-monthly or monthly, or changing the format of the recipe videos so they're much closer in style to something like a Bosch or Minimalist Baker video, very short, concise, to the point, no voiceovers, musical background, and then a link in the description box below to the much more detailed recipe blog, which also includes FODMAP notes and much more detail, which is something that I do see a lot of YouTubers doing. So knowing that, does that influence how keen you would be to see a blog introduced if it's going to make changes to the channel that you're not too keen on? So from my point of view, the main benefit of a food blog is that it makes the content much more shareable, which in turn means that I can reach and help a lot more people. So I'm going to go back to you on this one and ask you, would you much rather share a link to a recipe from a blog than you'd be likely to share a link to a recipe video on YouTube? Another plus for the recipe blog is that I feel I'd be able to categorise the recipes much easier in a blog format, and I'd also be able to include a lot more detailed FODMAP tips that it's just not possible to include in a recipe video, which ultimately is going to make the content much more useful and easier to find exactly what you're looking for no matter what phase of the diet that you're in. And speaking of the FODMAP phases, if you've been around here for a while, you'll be all too familiar with the fact that I actually completed my elimination and challenge phases quite a long time ago. So I'm actually in the personalised phase. So what you may not realise is that that means that my day-to-day food looks very different from a lot of the recipes that I present here on the channel. It's much more inclusive, it includes a much wider range of foods, and it's much closer to a regular standard vegan diet. Now, I didn't want to make things very confusing on the channel by sharing those types of recipes, but I do feel that over on a blog where I can put categories for each phase of the elimination diet, I will be able to share much more of my everyday food, which will not only be able to appeal to a much wider vegan audience, but it's also going to help the people who have travelled through the different phases and are now in the personalised phase, maybe looking to get out of a rut or looking for some more ideas long term. And finally, probably the biggest appeal for me of a recipe blog is that I'm the type of person who finds it much easier and much more comfortable to sit down and write than I do to sit down and appear on camera. So that means that there have been quite a few times over my low FODMAP journey for the past few years where opportunities were missed and things were just not shared because I couldn't face sitting down, putting a bra on and appearing in front of the camera during a huge flare-up, or when I was ill, or I felt like the moment had passed to share stories, experiences, reviews. So I do think that moving forward, I don't want those types of opportunities to share to be missed. So there would likely be things appearing on the blog that weren't also reflected over on the video. Things maybe of a more personal nature, just instances where I feel like sharing without going through the whole process of filming, editing and uploading, which can be a really, really lengthy task. So there is the idea there that there could potentially be a lot more content on the blog than you're used to seeing here on the channel. So there you have it, lots to consider, and I really hope this has given you a little bit of insight into my thought processes and into the potential changes for 2020. But this is the time now where I really need you to speak up, either in the comments below or over at Instagram at the Irritable Vegan at the poll questions that I'll put in my stories. Either way, let me know what it is you want to see in the coming year, exactly what you'd find the most helpful, any areas that you're struggling with, and together we can continue to shape and grow the community in a direction that's going to be of service to the most people. And if you have been watching my videos for a while but you've never commented, then now is the perfect time to let your voice be heard. And let me know in the comments below exactly what your thoughts are on all of this and anything else that I might have missed out. I really hope you all have a fantastic, happy and healthy start to 2020, and I'll be back soon with some regular recipe videos. Thanks so much for being here, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.